Hey everybody, it's May Chang from Dragon City. I'm here with Jeremy. Can you please go ahead, Jeremy?
Hey,
Introduce yourself real quick.
hey everybody. My name is Jeremy Thao, and I am the screenwriter and director of an upcoming short film called Wokman. Um, and yeah, so May found me with a similar story, and we're new friends, and I'm excited to chat with you about our movies and what it's like to be an AAPI filmmaker in Atlanta.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that introduction. So, as he said, we're here to talk about his new and up and coming film Walkman, and I'm really excited to meet Jeremy, another fellow AAPI creative in the Georgia area, and also a Georgia Film Impact Award winner. Don't I want to hype that up for sure. So, but yeah,
Thank you.
please tell us a little bit like about your background and more about the Walkman project and what's coming up for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I am my ethnic background, I'm Hmong American. And yeah, I am a an ex 1AD and electric and am transitioning to more of a screenwriting and directing um kind of oriented career. And so that's been pretty recent. That's been starting around the beginning of pandemic. And so that is kind of directly tied to Walkman. It's a slice of life story about an immigrant Chinese family who owns their own Chinese restaurant called China Walk in Northeast Georgia. The story takes place in 1998. Um, and our protagonist is 10-year-old Andy, the youngest child of the Lee family. And he just recently started working at the restaurant, answering the phone and working the register. And so, yeah, Walkman takes place over one single day at the restaurant. And you witness him witness how his parents are treated and what they endure on a normal day. And you start kind of seeing him make realizations as to why his parents are the way that they are. And so it's pretty much a big love letter to my parents, and my it's about my relationship with my father. And as I get older, I realize now that everyone really was just trying their best. And it's also a really big it's hopefully I hope this movie is a conversation starter as well, May, because like in my family, um, we've never once talked about racism ever. Have we all been the recipients of it? Of course we have, but we've never ever talked about it. And so, during pandemic when like all this like anti-Asian hate stuff's going on in Black Lives Matter and a lot of conversation about race is being had on a normal basis, started asking my friends of color that same question. I was like, "Yo, have you and your families ever like talked about racism and stuff?" And I come to learn, May, that like pretty much every single friend of color I had was like, "No, we never have." And so you come to you I came to the realization that most of the time when race was being discussed, something really bad had just happened. Tensions and emotions are already high, and now we have to try to like engage in these very sensitive conversations. And on top of that too, simultaneously, like no matter the combination of skin colors in any conversation, race is just difficult to talk about. And so um that's one magical thing about Chinese restaurants is like no matter the zip code, no matter the skin color, no matter the income level, like everyone loves Chinese food. And a Chinese restaurant is just such a welcoming, neutral ground for just a lot of people. And um, I also wanted to make a movie that honors how, for the AAPI community, how important not only is not how not only how important food is to us as a people, but also how important our food is to connecting us to like Western society and culture. Like, you can't deny that. And so Wokman is my life, and I tried my best to hide it with the filter of a Chinese restaurant. And I want, I hope conversations are had between families about race that, you know, comes in a more wholesome and a more calm state of mind, and especially amongst the people of color community, because we can't deny that we have our own racist problems ourselves. And so, yeah, dude, that's kind of, there are lines of dialogue in my story that are actual things that me and my parents have yelled at each other in arguments throughout the years, and it's just this really wild experience.
Noted. Well, one of the biggest things that you seem to mention and you brought up was that like this film Wokman is a love letter to your parents, and that like, oh, that hit me so hard. Let me tell you, because it's like the same process has came by with me with Dragon City, where it was sort of a letter to my parents of being an AAPI creative in Atlanta, Georgia. And for people who don't know, I came to Atlanta, Georgia to pursue filmmaking out of the volition of my parents. So they weren't agreeing to this kind of career at the same time. They were also somewhat supportive at the same well. Supportive to the point, surprise, Jeremy, I don't know if you know, but like the dad in Dragon City is my dad. Because first off, it's really hard to find older Asian men, and mind you, I am very jealous that you found an older Asian man for Wokman. Because I saw him and I was like, where was he? You know, but like it was also great, having my dad on set was also like a great opportunity to introduce him to my world, introduce him to like what I've been doing over the weekend, and like why I've been like never picking up his calls like during like my 12-hour days and everything like that. And so that really strummed my heartstrings when you said it was a love letter, because I think it was very important, because people like the conversation both in racism, as you mentioned, and mental health, and just general like just representation overall within this intergenerational gap. That's what I like to call it, or at least that's what is the term, is that, you know, most parents don't want to bring it up, or us Asian Americans are experiencing something entirely different from what our parents has experienced, and other American different generations along our age. This is very unique experience, and this is all for like any people of color in this kind of immigrant kind of focused kind of family. So I mean, I just really, that's just some thoughts I wanted to point out there, that you're doing your spiel, and I just loved it, because it was just like, it was literally something that I was going through, and I felt like it was really important. I wanted to ask, like, what films, other than like your own personal, like, just like how you wanted to tell the story to your parents, how you wanted this. I love the comment you made about the food being some way of you to shove your Asian representation. Because for me, I'm a foodie. I love food. I think food speaks to the world. Every time I eat some good meal, I'm just straight up like, why do we fight? Really, like, why do we fight? There's so many good food. But I want to ask, like, other than just like your personal stories and just like your goals and like what you want to represent, like what films has inspired you to make Wokman itself? And like, I want to just touch on that more on like the artistic side.
Okay. I remember being in like elementary school and middle school and high school and shit, and like watching like Hmong movies at home, you know, they're like Chinese movies, but like dubbed in Hmong, you know, that like you buy it like the farmers, like the flea market. Stuff, and, like,
I had like the stacks of CDs that was like, and they're all like in Chinese, or like sometimes only in Chinese, and everything.
So. exactly. And so, you know, it's just so much fun just watching, in addition to consuming Disney and like all that other childhood stuff. There's just like these Asian films that like obviously no one else that you know of are like really watching them other than the other Asian kids. And so, you know, we just growing up watching like Jackie Chan movies and Bruce Lee movies and like all these Hong Kong movies. And then as I got older, like in '98, around that time, like you had like Rush Hour and like Jackie like made it over to America, right? It's like
Oh
Rumble
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Bronx came around.
It's amazing to see the trend. Like we're watching as bad. I don't want to be like too dramatic, but we are literally watching history like unfold. Like I remember Jackie Chan. I remember when Kung Fu Hustle, like, and what is it? The House of Flying Daggers was in theaters, and that to me was like, oh my god, like I see things. There's more things like happening. Like this is exciting.
Yeah, dude. Like Tony Leung and Shang-Chi, like. Dude, we've known about him for forever, dude. Like, what?
I know everyone. First off, great Shang-Chi, great superhero movie, love it. And everyone's just like totally on. They're just like, man, who's that like Shang-Chi daddy? I'm like, yo, he was in the mood for love. We known him since. Where have you been? You know, it's just
exactly.
And I think that's hilarious, but it's also like it's great because now like people who aren't of Asian descent or who hasn't never watched his movies now have the chance to watch these movies. And I totally agree with you where I personally love for Hong Kong cinema, I love Stephen Chow. I grew up like Kung Fu Hustle. I grew up with it's the Monkey King. I forgot. I'm trying to look it up. Like what was the Monkey King story? It was like the Forbidden Story. And I watched that on repeat or something. And that was just something that like I totally know what you mean, but you cracked me up when you were just like, we knew who Tony was way before anyone else.
Is this surge in Asian American like popularity and culture, is it a flash in the pan? And I think for creatives like us to ensure that the answer is like, no, it is not a flash in the pan. It is a sustainable thing. We have to continuously pump out original content that represent deserving stories from voices and from people that have, you know, historically not had really the opportunity to make original content and creativity. So I really
resonate with that idea because as much as I love the representation that's being out and about right now, I want more original stories. In general, in cinema, I want more original stories. A lot of things that are winning are stories that like aren't remakes, basically. So the whole, I love the idea with the flash in the pan because it's just like the whole thing of like, you know, this generation of like Turning Red and Crazy Rich Asians and Shang-Chi even, it's all about this like parental in like FIFO piety kind of thing. And as much as like our films are about that, our films is about that experience, it's sort of like a stepping stone until the next step, until we create something that's like just straight up Steven Yeun from Walking Dead. Because I think because he's a lovable character without the fact that his race is a factor in anything. And I feel like that's like what we're trying to shoot for. We're trying to shoot for this medium. That's my opinion, but like I don't know. Like feel free to add in.
I totally agree with that. It's like I think it's very important that we start getting perspectives from people, because I mean, like, dude, like most safety meetings I lead as a 1AD, like I'm the only person of color, you know, and that's like, and that is like a very unique perspective that I think needs to be shared and other people should know it exists.
What advice do you have for AAPI creatives?
So like as I continue to work on Wokman, and working on Wokman has kind of it's led me to learn, you know, you got to learn about Chinese restaurants, which makes you learn about the Chinese in America, which makes you start learning all of these things. And by the time you're done, which you're never really done with, you come to learn that you're really re-looking at your Asianness. And so there's like this age-old question of like, how do I make my art different from everyone else? For me, as an Asian American creative, I think the answer for myself personally is the more of my true self I inject into my stories, it's kind of guaranteed it's going to be a perspective that has never been seen or described before in cinema. And so I encourage all of you to explore your stories, to look for those stories that no one else on this planet can tell, and then just attack them. And sometimes you have to uncomfortably look at yourself and kind of get to know yourself a little more, but that's kind of what it takes to write an engaging story that other people are going to want to legitimately help you bring to life, for sure. Another thing, another tip for young AAPI creatives trying to break it into the film scene, I highly encourage you to crack into the indie film scene. I understand about Hollywood and the union ladder with PAs, but that's a long ladder, and I want to encourage more people to. You can get your hands on stuff in the indie scene, and you can start doing stuff and learning stuff and making connections immediately in the indie scene. So I would encourage everyone to at least try it out. A lot of people bounce back and forth from the indie scene to like the union scene all the time. I did for a good while, and so yeah, go that route. And also too, I think that a big factor that we need to work on and get better at in our community is mentorship. Seeking mentorship has been a struggle for me for a long time. It's taken me a very long time to find people who are willing to literally just talk to me. Like, I talked to a new friend of mine, Takashi. He's a mentor of mine and an executive producer on Wokman. And I had a really, really tough day the other day. To be blunt and honest, it was the elementary school shootings the other day. That was day 2 of our crowdfunding, and it was just like I felt like the silliest motherfucker like to exist.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm about to have to post again to ask for money, and and so anyway, I was like, "Yo, dude, can you please find 10 minutes to talk to me, please?"
Yeah.
And just like that, we chatted for 20 minutes, and I just brain dumped on him and was like crying and was just like, dude, I don't like asking for money, and now I'm going to be doing it for 30 days in a row to make a silly movie, you know? And so I say all that to say, do not forget to look backwards and look out for the next generation of kids. Once you feel like your skill set and your maturity is at a level where you can responsibly start teaching the next generation, please do not forget about mentorship and offering your skills and your time to the up and comers. Please.
Yeah, that's extremely well spoken. Obviously, like, it is, crowdfunding is hard, and I think what Jeremy's point is that always remember your roots and always reach out to people who are really close, and try to find that kind of support. I think some kind of notes that I can give to the AAPI creatives is to learn and do it unconditionally, continuously. You don't have to come from film school. You don't have to be from you don't have to buy 1 million books. If you have that kind of drive and if you have that kind of passion, push through and network and reach out to those people and just keep going. I think one of the biggest things that just make it, and if shit, that's okay. You make shit. As long as you keep making it, you'll keep getting better. And I think it was very weird saying. I don't really want to vibrate to it, but it kept stuck in my head where all these little indecisiveness and all these feelings of it's not going to be good enough, or I'm not going to hit my goal or anything like that. I think another thing I can give is just do it. Shia LaBeouf, just do it kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
there's this old Chinese saying that I found while doing research for Walkman that has become the unofficial motto of my life, and it is talk doesn't cook rice. And I think it's very applicable to our career and to, it's very true. You can only think and worry and plan about shit so much. I mean, the movie's not going to make itself.
Man, that's my motto. I gotta hide that somewhere. Talk doesn't cook rice.
Yeah. Thank you for having me today. I'm really glad that we're we're sister productions kind of going on, and I'm really excited for us to be a resource to each other and to help each other grow as creatives. I'm really excited to support y'all, and so yeah. Right now, we launched our crowdfunding campaign a few days ago, and it's going really well. We're really excited for it. We'd love for y'all to come check out Walkman and learn more about it and our team, and check out our teaser at tinyurl.com/Walkman.
Man.
And
At
that's,
Walkman, I'll link it around
yeah,
this video all over the
yeah,
place.
yeah. And that's WOKMAN, Walkman.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited, and yeah, no, I'm can't wait to see
Yeah,
what's coming up next. So,
yeah.
yay!
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Where are y'all? Are y'all cutting right now?